hate.
This is a rebel that surrendered to us. He was armed only with this.
Good work, Commander. So, you have accepted the truth.
I've accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
That name no longer has any meaning for me.
I know there is good in you. The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully. That's why you won't bring me to your Emperor now.
I see you have constructed a new lightsaber. Indeed, you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen.
I will not turn, and you'll be forced to kill me.
If that is your destiny,
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
it is too late for me, son. He is your master now.
Then my father is truly dead.
Yeah, I like the scene with Anakin. I keep calling him Anakin, but he's not Anakin anymore.
That name means nothing to me.
Exactly. With Luke talking to Darth Vader, and I think this scene shows he still has Anakin inside him because he still refers to him as his son, even though he said Anakin. Even though Anakin is supposed to be dead, which means Darth Vader doesn't have any kids. It's just Anakin has kids, not Darth Vader. So I
Identity
think,
crisis.
huh?
Identity crisis.
So I think him actually referring to it's too late for me, son. Like he's actually coming around. Like yeah, Anakin is still in there. So I really do like that about the scene. I think that's one of the highlights of the scene. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like it's a very evident, just even at the the end of the clip is he hasn't reconciled that past yet. Like it's kind of like when he thought Padme died, or not when he thought, when Padme died, or when he was informed Padme died, he killed off Anakin and never really closed that chapter. It was just like you severed it. And now that Luke and Leia as well came back, you come back to this severed limb that hasn't had any healing process to it, or any reconciliation as far as your past and how your actions have led to this particular moment. So it's like he's getting this probably just in basic human terms, like this overflow of emotion that he's trying to navigate and then stay true to this dark side persona that has been your embodiment for the past however many years.
And it's interesting how even though humans were very perceptive based off the faces of other individuals. And we can't see Darth Vader's face, but it's really interesting how they were able to portray the emotion he was experiencing, despite the fact he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, from the voice just to the movements too. Like from that, he just like staring off. Like usually you see like a frown on a regular person. But
This is how the Han and Leia scene was supposed to go. This was perfectly executed. The dialogue, the emotional reactions, as far as just, Vader, and you could see the distress in his body as far as like the processing of the emotions. And then you could see how vindictive Luke was in some of his rebuttals. Like, that is how the Leia and Han scene should have gone.
I think it's funny. Look, he's not going to turn me into your Emperor now. He just turns his back on him. It doesn't matter. I don't have to look at you. It's funny. But yeah, I do like the scene. Yeah.
That's actually a really good point about how they're opposite sides of the same coin. An emotional scene done well, and an emotional scene done not so well. Almost in the same setup.
No, it is.
Because it's still an Endor.
Fight!
We're on 9.
Welcome, young Skywalker. I have been expecting you. I'm looking forward to completing your training.
You're gravely mistaken. You won't convert me as you did my father.
You will find that it is you who are mistaken. Right now, you must know your father can never be turned from the dark side.
Soon I'll be dead, and you with me.
Perhaps you referred to the imminent attack of your rebel fleet. Yes.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Your faith in your friends is yours. Your friends, up there on the Sanctuary Moon, are walking into a trap, as is your rebel fleet.
Han, hurry. The fleet will be here any moment.
You rebel scum.
All wings report in.
Red Leader standing by.
Gray Leader standing by.
May the Force be with us.
Well, how could they be jamming us if they don't know if we're coming? Break off the attack. The shield is still up.
I like this scene with Luke meeting the Emperor. I do have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys highlighted the difference between Anakin and Luke as far as like why he didn't go to the dark side and the difference in personalities. But Luke's aunt and uncle died just like how Anakin's mom died. So what was the real difference of why Luke doesn't go to the dark side?
Well,
Is it just because?
I mean, you gotta remember, it's not the same situation. Though. Anakin was in bondage his entire time up until freedom from the pod race.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask
So-
Luke, he was in bondage too because he wasn't able to leave.
He wanted to go to school.
Yeah, he wanted to go with his friends. He's like, nah, he stayed and helped him with the harvest.
True, but I think at the same time though, like when we look at Anakin's dynamic against Obi-Wan, Anakin's dynamic as far as him being introduced to the Force and then his upbringing in the Jedi Temple, he always had handcuffs on him. One, because he was the exception made, so they always like limited. He granted Obi-Wan taught him, but he taught him in a way that limited him at the same time, because it was always said that Anakin was a chosen one. And so if you have this raw power that no one has ever really seen before, and you put a teacher in front of it that really, because we all know that Obi-Wan, if you don't know, Obi-Wan was really the master of one art when it comes to Jedi combat. It was a very defensive art or defensive skill, whereas Anakin was way more offensive. So you have a teacher that isn't on the same philosophical realm as you, and then when it comes to combative skills as far as that teaching component, he's limiting your true potential. You're more offensive, he's more defensive. So you have those butting of the heads. Whereas when we think about Luke, you get a more refined Obi-Wan who is fucked up with Anakin and now has the opportunity to still place the same limitations on Luke, but not as stringent to where it truly limits his ability. And then you get Yoda in there as well. Whereas Anakin really, I mean, you had Yoda, but you didn't have hands-on Yoda the way Luke does. So, I mean, it's just completely different, pathways to the Force. But, I mean, I guess you could say the same raw Force ability.
Yeah, I asked because it seemed like when Luke comes in contact with Palpatine, he seems more resistant rather than, Anakin. He just like,
But, I mean, Anakin was very untrustworthy as well. Like, he had a code that he was forced to live by and chose not to live by it. Because at this point, he's already deeply in love with Padme. He's married Padme. And then, of course, at the same time, I mean, Palpatine kind of groomed Anakin as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had first came in contact with Anakin when Anakin was 10. Whereas, I don't know how old Luke is here, but this is his first real contact with, Palpatine. So there is not that influence that comes with, just time. He doesn't have the influence of time on his side.
I have two possible explanations. One is really simple, as we've discussed in previous reviews, is the fundamental difference in temperament between Anakin and Luke. And then also, what swayed Anakin to the dark side and not Luke was motivation. So if you remember why Anakin was first entertaining the idea of joining the dark side, because he wanted to prevent Padme's death.
Yeah.
And that was the carrot on the stick for him. And pretty much he was breadcrumbed into pursuing that because although he had good motivations and good intentions, that was what Palpatine was using to lure him to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Luke is pretty much agnostic to the dark side. He just understands good and evil. He doesn't really have any skin in the game, either one way or the other, to make him pursue the dark side. He doesn't have any motivation. It's not that he's trying to master some skill that's forbidden that allows him to help the people around him. He knows that the dark side is evil. He knows that whatever experience, like when he fought Darth Vader, he knows what they're doing. He understands what it is from a rebel perspective. That is how he was brought up. And so I think that's the big piece that's missing. There is zero motivation for him to go to the dark side. Because, okay, let's say he does. What then? I'd never thought that
Because
Luke's...
I was thinking that the motivation probably with his dad, but I got you.
A father-son bonding over the universe.
Yeah, because he knows that his dad became a Jedi, so if he knows that he went to the dark side, he can follow in his footsteps. So, and that's what he told Yoda when he first met him. The reason why he wants to become a Jedi, because he said, I guess because my father was a Jedi. And they started talking about, oh yeah, father, he was a good. He's like, you don't even know my dad. You don't even know me. Like, so, yeah.
I could buy that, but it really is a testament to how strong Luke's moral compass is of right and wrong. He's not as easily swayed, and then, like I say, he lacks that.
So I guess we gotta thank God that Luke never got a girlfriend while he was on Tatooine.
Well, no, but at the same time, I hate to bring this up, but Luke was raised with a father figure and Uncle Owen. There was no father figure with Anakin until Qui-Gon came along.
And you hate to bring this up. Why?
Because it can bring up the much needed conversation that a masculine role in the household is always going to be required. And I know in modern day, we don't want to compare Star Wars to real life situations.
No, let's do it.
But
I'll support you.
It just goes to show. I mean, I'm an advocate for it. I'm not going to sit here and I don't think Star Wars is the setting to we have this conversation, but it just goes to show that, the masculine role in the house, masculine figure in the house can definitively sway an outcome, both good or bad. But we saw in this case the effect it had. Like he had a great deal of respect for Luke. That is, had a great deal of respect for Uncle Owen. He didn't necessarily like the outcomes that came with it, but he always had a great deal of respect for him. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yo, you just unlocked a whole nother conversation I want to have, but not today.